Okay, Rahubat. Rahubat. Greetings to everyone out there. Greetings, Yasar. Rahubat. Okay, just getting set up here. And let's see. All right. Okay. All right. So greetings to everybody. Rahubat. Another week. And this is wonderful. And so again, welcome. Now, also greetings to anyone and all those who are new, those who are here live, and those who will be watching this recording. For those who do not know me, my name is Petty Sina Teptu Urae, and I've been over a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Panabab Yananan, also known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture. We identify as Wu-Sabat or Wu-Nawak, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasoning, those who live according to the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hutri. In essence, our culture has always been about living in harmony with natural nature. This is what we represent. This is what we always taught. And we argue that the challenges that Black people are facing around the world is due to the fact that we got away from our ancient culture. We got away from being in harmony with nature. We lost our reasonability. We lost our ability to reason soundly. And this is the root cause of our suffering. And so when we say Wu-Sabat, Wu-Sabat is about being able to make decisions based on sound right reasonability. And we've lost that. And we argue this is why we're in the situation that we're in. And so we, as students of the master teacher, as student teachers of Wu-Sabat, we're dedicated to re-educating our people about our ancient culture, which will help us resolve and solve our problems. This is the whole purpose of what we're teaching. This is why we do what we do. I'm just one of many students around the world who has dedicated themselves to re-educating our people based on our ancient culture of Wu-Sabat. That is what our goal is, and that is what our objective is. And we pray that due to these efforts, our people will begin to solve the challenges in which we're dealing with around the globe, right? Oh, okay. So every week we do the same thing, which is we do our intro, and let's see, we go through our prayer system, and I just want to bring that up. Now, just for those who do not know, right? Our whole culture is about spiritual development. We argue the only way to get back to your nine mind, to your divine mind, is through developing yourself spiritually, because this is what the problem that we as Black people are facing. We have gotten away from our spiritual science, our spiritual culture, and we have embraced foreigner spiritual cultures, and we don't know anything about our African sciences. And this is what we're dedicated to re-educating. And a part of our African science and culture was we had our own prayer systems. We had our own chant systems, our meditation systems, to connect us, to reconnect us back with the forces of nature, to reconnect us with our ancestors, to assist us in our decision-making abilities. Because like we said, we've lost our ability to make decisions based on sound reasoning. We lost our ability to be in harmony with nature. And so these rituals are designed to help us recalibrate ourselves and re-educate ourselves spiritually. And so we have a prayer system that is designed to do just that. So at the beginning of all our discussions, we do our prayer systems, and then we also do it at the end of our discussions to reintroduce you guys. Now, all of our prayer systems is in our language of Musbatia, Misbatia, it's pronounced. And for those who are not familiar with the language, you guys can follow just read in English so you can see it's written in our language as well as it's written in English so you guys can follow it. Okay? So let us begin. And let me do this. Okay. Abdul Kalam Namasat Wubazun Amah Kasaman Afa Pa Put. Anuki Jawab Pa Ashuk M Pa Put. Wu Kala Ashuk Kawun Jawaf Naya. Anuki Kasaman M Pa Put. Wu Pa Put Kawun Kasaman M Naya. Anuki Wahu Ama Pa Put. Wu Pa Put Kawun Wahu Ama Naya. Naku Kadoa Naju Ama Kasaman M Pa Put. Wu Kabu Ama Shikasun. Naku Kadoa Kawan Kala Pafaf Naku Daya Jawab Pa Put. Ama Wasu Ama Dayani Kawun Lake Bakui Jawab Pa Put. Anuki Yabab Bi Nafasni. Pa Put Kawun. Anuki. Pa Put Kadoa. Naku Kadoa. Pa Put Amu. Naku Amu. Lahehum Manahnun. Layahum Manahnun. Ahumata Karahum. Ahumata Karakum. Ahumata Karenun. Ahumata Juafnaya. Ahumata Nayawu Anuki Hum. Ye Ashuk Re'e. Asmua Jayenun. Ye Unataru Afuknun. Anunata Kharaukum. Ye Unataru Afuknun. Afuknun Afuknun. Ye Unataru Nun. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amen. Namazo Wahu, Ye Mufaku, Yehu, Yehu, Ye Notaru, Yesaye, Yesaye, Ye Notaru, Yehika, Yehika, Ye Notaru, Antkum at the Pa Mufaku, Yehu, Yehu, Ye Notaru, Antkum at the Pa Mufaku, Wu Anu at the Kharaukum, Wu Antkum at the Yasanun, Yehu, Yehu, Ye Notaru, Akfush Muklas Nun, Atum Ra'e. Yehu, Yehu, Ye Unataru. Namazo Atu, Akfush Enhu. Ye Umutam U, Akfutnun. Antkum Mana Yaka Laduda Salafanun. Wu Yasaunun. Mana Yaka Sawura Pa Ba'a. Mana Yaka Kawuno Ka'u. Mana Yaka Ata Akha. Mana Yaka Kawuna Basha Wu Damam. Ye Unataru Muktam Unun. Akfush Matad Nun. Enhu kawun munzal manapa nataru. Akfush enhu. Enhu kawun baba yananun. Akfush enhu. Enhu kawun atum re'e. Akfush enhu. Enhu kawun khafush. Namazo talu. Ye nataru salafunun. Akfutnun manapa mujwadu. Akfutnun manatag huan. Ye nataru akfutnun. Manasaya khayara. Akfutnun afutnaya. Akfutnun afutnaya. Ye nataru nun. Namaz or rabu pa tashun. Nakuk talub tashun bi pa nataru. Mana pa la en lawi tananu. Kala ranam atni at the lahe pa nataru. Wu kala namazo atni at the lahe kayat iatun daye pa nataru. Pa sawat wu pa tara. Panan safa kawun pa sawat wu pa tara. Z kawuna nazula laha enkum. Manasaba'at Wu-Sabat. Ama Haday'an Wu Shafay'un. Manasalafukum Wu Nataru. Ajula ya Nafasukum. Afuk Shana Kawunkum. Pasawat Wu Patara. Pa Haday'an Wu Pa Shafay. And Nun Tawa Enkum. Laha Panan Shafay Wu Alaj. And Nun Tawa Enkum Laha Tem Nasuinun. And Nun Tawa Enkum Laha Ashukuma. Enkum at the Salafunun. Enun at the Kharaukum. Enun Talub Nasakuma. Enun Talub Nasakuma. And so nun Sayam Nataru. And so nun Salafunun. Enun at the Munwapu. Anun. Atun. Atun. Amen. Ye unatharu nun, ye mufta'u, ye unatharu, ye atum re, ye nathar, ye nun, ye nathar, ye nuntat, ye nathata, ye ha, ye nathar, ye hatat, ye nathata, ye kak, ye nathar, ye kaktat, ye nathata, ye amun, ye nathar, ye muntat, ye nathata, ye umafkemu ye natharu, ye atum, ye nathar, ye shawah, ye nathar, ye tafak natat, ye nathata, ye sabab, ye nathar, ye natat, ye nathata, ye ashtat, ye nathata, ye asa yanatha, ye nabab tahata, ye nathata, ye satak yanatha, ye hara yanatha, nathara shalil pameye, ye haptu yanatha, ye anakta yanathata, ye ha haratu yanatha, nathara shalil panawar, ye nafatum yanatha, ye manthu yanatha, ye babti yanatha, ye sakhamta yanathata, ye hata harata yanathata, ye baai bish yanatha, ye fa yanatha, ye basa yanathata, ye imhata yanatha. Nathara shalil pa hawe, ye anhu yanatha, ye matat yanathata, ye mahat yanathata, ye khafre yanatha, ye miskanat yanathata, ye horayeta yanathata, ye khentimitu yanatha, ye hika yanathata, ye nathata yanathata, ye maat yanathata, ye horanenta yanathata, ye she yanathata, ye sashat yanathata, ye mafta yanathata. Nathara shalil pa taha, ye sabak yanatha, ye anap yanatha, ye khanum yanatha, ye khanash yanatha, ye fanun yanatha, ye saye yanatha, ye haktat yanatha, ye amash yanatha, ye saraptu yanatha, ye atum re'e yanatha, ye tahutu yanatha, ye fawarat yanatha, ye sakata yanatha, ye ha yanatha, ye neheb ka'a yanatha, ye saka yanatha, ye ba'a yanatha, ye aka yanatha, ye imharata yanatha, ye wapawata yanatha, ye sakahatapta yanatha, ye merita sakata yanatha, ye sayeta yanatha, ye garata yanatha, ye sat inu yanatha, ye bahata yanatha, ye khanamta yanatha, ye manakta yanatha, ye khamam yanatha, ye mahatu yanatha, ye kabef sananafaf yanatha, ye da mata afaf yanatha, ye merita yanatha, ye nasat yanatha, ye mdadata yanatha, ye nakhakbata yanatha, ye sakhata yanatha, ye anakta yanatha, ye dadad yanatha, ye tum yanatha, ye wahu yanatha, ye yasas yanatha, ye naku yanatha, ye afmut yanatha, ye satat yanatha, ye sakhatu yanatha, ye ma'at yanatha, ye nana yanatha, ye mnuit yanatha, ye satatu yanatha, ye mukdaltat yanatha, ye rahashafaf yanatha, ye maratu yanatha, ye mun hore yanatha, Yehu Anun Ata Kaleh Jawef Pa'ot Ah Nun Re'e Ah Tun Re'e Ah Tun Re'e Ah Mun Re'e Ye Jedna 4. Okay. All right. Now, for those who are new and who are going to be watching this, recorded, and aren't familiar with our rituals and spiritual systems, obviously, what we do is the prayer system, and then after the prayer system, we go into a chant, right? So we chant Amun, and then after a chant, we're actually supposed to go into a meditated state. So it's a process, and this is about recalibration. That's our whole goal: is learning to recalibrate the cells, your body, to learn to tap in to your natural frequencies, right? To connect with the forces of nature, the spiritual forces that we are tied to, which is the forces of nine ether. That is the whole goal of our rituals, right? And this is a process, okay? And we're going to get into that today. In fact, that's going to be what our discussion is going to be about, is the forces of nine ether today. Okay, in fact, this is going to be a 4-part series. So today is going to be part 1, where we're going to focus on the forces of nine ether. Next week, we're going to focus on the forces of 6 ether. And the following week after that, we're going to focus on the forces of 3 ether, ghost, spirit forces. And then the last discussion, the 4th week, is we're going to talk about the conclusions and solutions and things that we need to be doing as a people, once you understand the difference in spirit forces and how to harness your spirit force to restore ourselves, to get back in tune with our spirit forces that are designed to assist us in the work that we need to do, which is liberation, right? That's our whole goal, is to be liberated from the disagreeable adverse forces that we are subject to. So this is about you guys being re-educated about this process. So it's all of this stuff is inclusive from studying right knowledge into practicing or developing yourself spiritually, which is what our whole culture is all about. Okay, so I definitely want you guys to be familiar with that, and this is what we try to focus on. Okay, all right. So now we go from our prayer systems into we also try to educate everybody about our principles, the core principles in which we live by, which is extremely important. And so, as students of Wu-Sabat, right, we live by core principles, the principles of Wu-Sabat / Wu-Nawab. Okay. And for those who are not familiar with it, the first principle is Ashak, which stands for the power of love. Our whole goal is tapping into Ashak, which is a spirit force. It's actually the spirit force of nine ether, okay, which is Ashak. Ashak. That's where we get our power from. Love itself is power, and we just forgot how to harness it. And that's what we're here to re-educate our people about. So that's the excuse me, that's the first principle in which we are dedicated to living by. And the second thing is resurrection. Second principle is resurrection, is learning to become gods and goddesses again by opening up our third eye. Okay, our whole doctrine is about restoring ourselves back to our original nature and original way we used to be. Okay, and third principle is we live by the wisdom of Dahutri and Ma'at. Okay. Dahutri stands for the mind. Ma'at stands for order. And we did lectures on that. So for those who haven't saw those lectures, please watch them. And for those who've seen it, we always tell you, watch it more than once. I always tell you guys, watch these discussions more than once. Fourth principle is relationships, right? As African people, we live of, for, and by each other. In fact, last week we did our discussion on relationships, right? Which is, we was introduced to the concept of Ubuntu. So definitely watch that lecture if you haven't. And if you have, watch it again. Principle number 5 is morphic resonance and matrix. Morphic resonance deals with the sound, tone, color, vibration, frequencies of nature itself. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to restore our morphic resonance back to our natural nature, morphic resonance, right? And that's the purpose of the rituals, to get back into your resonant frequency, to restore yourself. Okay, and then you learn about matrices, which is how things manifest. So we haven't got into a discussion on that yet, but we're going to. Principle number 6 is what is soul and spirit. Your soul is your emotional force, and your spirit is your life force. Now, we did a discussion on that. So for those who haven't watched it, definitely watch that discussion on soul and spirit. Number 7 is Leviathan, equals moon culture, aka religion, aka Western culture. And again, we did a discussion on that. So for those who haven't watched it, watch it. And if you did, watch it again. And 8th principle is health, right? Health equals you have to have a positive mind. You need a lot of sunlight. You need water. The body is 70% water, so you need water. Fasting, is a prerequisite, right? We eat, but we don't fast. We're supposed to fast anywhere from 1 to 2 days a week. Herbal diet and exercise, rhythmic breathing, meditation, concentration, prayer, and chant. All of that is a part of health. Okay. All of that is a part of your health. So in order to have adequate health, you have to practice all of these concepts. Okay. And the last principle is pa'ut, the smat, and ach, right? Pa'ut is the creative force, right? It stands for the creative force, which is all. And the smat stands for the cycles of nature. And ach is the energies that grew the universe. 9 ether, which eventually turns into 6 ether. And that's what our discussions are going to be about. Our discussions is going to be about the creative force, pa'ut, and the cycles of existence in nature. Okay. So we're going to get into that. Let's see. All right. So now, goals of students of Wu-Sabat. So once you decide to become a student of Wu-Sabat, you have three goals, right? 3 objectives. First goal is to raise yourself. Second goal is to get in this fight, to fight Leviathan. And the third goal is to work to build Sabbatia, our own lands, right? So raise yourself. You must be born again, as the Christians teach, by learning the culture of Wu-Sabat and live it, right? So you give up the old culture for the new culture. That's what, being born again is. You get rid of the old ways for new ways, right? Then your first goal also is to correct your name by choosing a Sabian name and make it known to all, right? You must correct how you look and dress. You must learn to speak Sabian, our language. You must study our doctrine every day. That's important. You must practice and master our daily rituals and always be positive, right? There's nothing you're going to get done unless you have a positive mind. Then the second goal is to get in this fight with Leviathan. This includes working to free Panabab Yananan by promoting Wu-Sabat to all, become a student, teacher, and the fight and fight the 5 strongest weapons of Leviathan, which are lust, lies, deception, slander, and gossip. This is what the unfortunate Western culture is based on, these things, and it's destroying us because we live with this is what we're doing, and it's destroying us as a people. So we got to get away from behaving like that. And then you have to work to build Sabbatia. We work to support each other in business goals. We help each other reach positive goals. We help to build our government. We must set up a landing zone for Panathato in Africa, which means we need land in Africa that would be supported by an African government. That's very important. And Ashak is the key to accomplish all our goals. You're not going to be able to do it without harnessing the power of love. It's very important. Now, what does it mean to be a Sabian, right? A Sabian is someone who's thoughtful and cares, someone who's helpful and honest, someone who's responsible and hardworking, someone who demands justice, someone who is righteous, someone who wants to make the right decisions, someone who is positive and cheerful, someone who is loving and peaceful, someone who is clean, and someone who is kind and considerate. Okay, so now this is to inform anyone what we are about, what our whole focus is as being Sabians. Okay. And so it's very important to know the core principles of anything you're doing. So it's not just our organization. If you join anything or become a part of anything, you need to understand the principles of whatever it is you're involved with. And that's why I make it my business to educate people on that, because I noticed so many students over the years really don't understand the core principles that we live by. And if you don't understand those principles, how do you live up to it if you don't really identify with it? Because the goal is to correct your behavior, to correct how you live. That's the only way we're gonna solve our problems, because if we continue to behave in the ways that has caused us to fall, then we can never rise. It should be common sense, right? So there you have it. Okay, we have a question. Okay. All right, we'll start from the top. I'll address some of the questions real quick, and I'll start from the top. And okay, so let's see. Yeah, Rahul back. This is Kev Mall. And okay, from New York. That's what's up. Been a student teacher for Baba Yanana several years. I've been wanting to propagate in the streets in New York, but I feel like I'm being distracted. Any insight on what to do? Uh, that's a good question. In fact, we're going to get into that. We're going to be talking about that today in our lesson about the distractions and how to overcome those things, right? So we're gonna get into that. Let's see. You also said question in this new suit. Okay. Oh, in this new sun. In this new sun or solar cycle, can you choose an Egyptian name even if you're not in AO? Yeah, of course. And so we have the you guys can go on Scribes. They should have I believe the name book for to choose a Sabaean name, right? Egyptian names. It's on there. So for those who are not familiar with it, the let me see if I can just show it to you guys so you can be familiar with it, and that way you know what it looks like. So let me see. There you go. I don't know if my light is messing with the reflection, but there we go. So that's the name book, and it should be on Scribes. Okay, it should be on Scribes, so you guys can see that. And so I definitely, I definitely want you guys to be aware of the name book. Now, let's see. Okay, what else we got? Okay, let's see. Question: what are the keys to proper and effective propagation when teaching in the streets? Yeah. Oh man. Wow. Okay. So when you're teaching in the streets, one of the things the master teacher focused on is making sure we understood the first degrees in our doctrine. And what are the first degrees? He educated us on all of the different religious doctrines out there, which is Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And we became well versed. In fact, we're the most educated organization out there when it comes to studying other people's schools of thought and religions. And because when you're gonna meet our people, that's what you're gonna get hit with. They're gonna be opposing you based on their philosophy. And in order to help them, is we basically learn people's doctrines better than what they knew. And it's something the master teacher drilled in us. So, we knew the Quran inside and out. We knew the history of Islam. We knew, the whole origins of Judaism and what they taught and teach. And we knew Christianity inside out, what Jesus taught. Like a lot of Christians, they don't realize they're following mainly what Paul teach in the Bible and not what actually Jesus taught. That's why we would tell people get the red letter King James version of the Bible, because when you look at the red letter, that's mainly what Jesus taught. And if you was to actually just to follow what Jesus taught in the King James version of the Bible, you'll notice the books of Paul, which is like 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Galatians, and the book of Acts. All of those things are written by Paul, who wasn't even a disciple or an apostle of Jesus, although Christians like to claim that, but he never even met Jesus. But they follow most of the teachings of Paul. And we used to show people the discrepancies between what Jesus taught and what Paul taught, right? And so the thing is this: in order for people to listen to you, and you introduce them into something new, it's like you have to first show people that what they're learning isn't correct knowledge. And in order to be able to tell them what they're learning is not correct knowledge, you would have to know their doctrine as good as they do or better. And that is one of the things the master teacher focused in on us. But this is why we always did question and answer class. So if you're not that schooled in all of the principles of our doctrine because you're new, that's okay. The other thing is to introduce a book to people and tell them that they can get their questions answered by coming to a question and answer class. And being that you're in New York, the brothers, I know they do question and answer classes in Brooklyn. Okay. So you can always invite people to those classes where it can help them. So, there's many techniques, and hopefully, along the way, we'll get into those things. But let me keep going. Question: when choosing an Egyptian name, okay, do you embody the character? No. When choosing an Egyptian name, do you embody the characteristics of the ancestor or deity or principles applied to the name? Yeah, you do. The whole point of choosing a name is one of two things. One is to either live up to you're trying to live up to the principles of the name, or you represent that name itself. It's in your personality. So that's kind of how we would choose names. Either this is what you name. So let's say you was something who was always joyful and happy. So you choose a name like that because that's who you are. That's your nature. Or you was someone who like I named one of my sons Nafor Bare, which is an agreeable soul of the creative force. So his goal is to live up to that. Okay. And so that's kind of where coming and choosing a name. Let's see. All right. Got that. That started class. No volume. Got it. Sorry about that. Here's trying to what? Okay, I have been following. Okay, this is Hapshasit Ma'at Ura'a. Say it again. Oh, okay. So I did currently. Right. Question, Kevmon, another question. Is it true that the master teacher said don't do DNA ancestry tests? What about African ancestry DNA tests? They're not of the Mukasu company. Yeah, I believe the master teacher did say that due to the fact that first of all, if you study the whole DNA test, a lot of stuff is not accurate, and here's the thing. All Africans are related anyway. All tribes are interrelated. It doesn't make any sense why people say, well, I'm from one tribe in Ghana, and I'm from another tribe in Sierra Leone, or I'm from a tribe in the Congo. All the tribes are interrelated. That's why they call them the Bantu speaking people. They're all interrelated. They just branched off. No different than, we becoming tribes in America. You got the Christians versus the Muslims, and the Hebrew Israelites, and the Crips versus the Bloods. We're creating our own tribes. Well, this is all the same people. we're all related to the same people. So if you just do some research, you'll find out that because I think there was a thing online. 2 twin sisters took DNA tests, and they got 2 different results. So be mindful. That's the best advice I could give on that. And let's see again, Rob back. This is got it. We'll answer all questions. That's right. Got it. Greetings from Angola. Rob back. Musa. Rob back. Greetings. Okay. Rob back. Got it. Quick question. Okay, Allison. When you say moon culture, does that mean people that are led by full moon, half moon type religion, like the Jews on Sabbath, or the women worship full moon? Now that's what's up. Now, like the moon, okay, reason why we say moon culture, right? If you look at the moon, you notice the moon doesn't have plants growing on it. It doesn't have trees growing on it. Doesn't have flowers blooming. Doesn't have, fresh plant life. So what does that mean? The moon is a solar, a dead solar body. It's dead. There's no life coming out of the moon. Okay. And the moon gets its energy and its light from the sun. So when you go out in the night and you see the moonlight, that's a reflection. The sun is hitting the moon and is reflecting that light is being reflected to earth. So when we say moon culture, we talk about a culture that's dead, a culture that has no life. It actually saps life from you. And that's European culture. So when we say the children of the moon, that means they live a dead culture. They live a culture that produces death, nothing but death. If you notice in this country, that's all this culture produces. Everything people call fun actually kills you. From the food you eat to to the our concepts of entertainment that harms us. These guys race cars that kills you. They show movies that constantly talking about killing, death, destruction. That's moon culture. Our culture, Wu-Sabat, was just the opposite. Our culture was based on life and living, being in harmony with nature. The Caucasian is adverse to nature. That's why he doesn't care about polluting the earth. He doesn't care about dropping bombs on people, killing people. All he does is come up with new ways to kill, new weapons, new strategies to harm people. That's the moon culture. That's the children of death. So everybody who lives that culture are children of death, regardless of the race. And that's what we're fighting against. We're saying we got to get away from the culture that kills. And the European culture, that's all it does. Since they've been running around this planet, from the Greeks to the Romans to the colonial powers, all they have been doing is killing. It's how they rule. They threaten you. The cops are constantly killing us. They rule by fear. That's why they have to, that's why they have to have a police department with people running around with guns threatening to kill you if you don't listen to them. So that lets you know you live in a corrupt system, because you have to be forced into compliance. In our cultures in Africa, we didn't have to force nobody to live the culture. I'm like, everyone lived the culture, was in harmony. We didn't have issues like that. But that's how they rule. This is how they live. They have to force us into it, and threaten you. And if you don't follow their rules, what they do, they lock you in a cage. You see what they just did to Bill Cosby, and now they just exposed that they basically set him up. This is how corrupt, because they're upset. And they just mad at him, so they want to set him up. They had no evidence against him. They had nothing, and they convicted him. And then, see, this is what I said. You see, when you go to that jury of your so-called peers, and it's all white people, they convict you even that they didn't have no evidence against this man. And that's the issue. In fact, I recommended everybody to go to Dr. Boyce Watkins. He did an interview with Bill Cosby's publicist. And I tell you all, watch that video, because his publicist will explain the whole case and the whole thing, how they set Cosby up. They are people, they're incapable of being just. That's the children of the moon, the children of death. They're incapable of being just. They're just not just. I don't know what else to say. Let's see. That's right. Tower at. All right. Okay. All right. So now, okay, I guess we can get into our discussion today. Our lesson today. Is there more? I didn't. I think I did. Yeah, I did. Where you see that at? Greetings from Los Angeles, T Tiger. All right. Okay. She said, I didn't see that. I am down. Please, somebody, I can't even see. Somebody's light. I see him, but I don't see that. Okay, a question by T Tiger. Do the African names? Well, okay, so obviously, for me, I'm talking about names, right? And do your name, should you correct your name? We don't change our names, we correct our names. We do not change our names, we correct our names. Okay, so that's point one. I definitely want to make that clear. We do not change our names, we correct our names. Now, Okay, so obviously I wasn't born with the name Peti Sina Tebtu Ra'e. That was a name given to me through when I had joined AEO. So I took on that particular name. Now I actually corrected my name in their system. So, I took off obviously the name that my family was given, the European name, and I actually corrected the name in the system so that it forces people to call me that name all the time, because words are power. Names are words. They're words of power, guys. That's why I was trying to introduce you about language, the science of language. That's why the first thing the Caucasian did when he kidnapped us and enslaved our people is he made you change your language. He forced us to learn English. And he outlawed us speaking our language, our native language, because language denotes culture, which denotes a mentality. You force a people to speak your language, you force them to identify with their culture. That's why it's so hard to get Black people to get back into African culture, because they're speaking English. And so you think like an Englishman, because a language is based around a culture, which then you start identifying with things of a culture. And if you notice, when you go from one race of people to another, it's a change in culture, change of behaviors. They do things different in China versus India versus our original culture in Africa versus Europe. So if a Black person decides he wants to go to China and he starts speaking Chinese, he'll start picking up Chinese culture and behavior patterns. Next thing you know, he's in a Buddhist temple worshiping Buddha and blah, blah, blah. And the same thing happens when you move to India. You start reading Sanskrit. Next thing you know, you're in the Hindu temples worshiping Shiva and Brahma and Kali and all the other deities. You lose your identity. You lose your spiritual connection to your ancestors. It cuts you off. So the first thing to correct yourself is to correct your name. That's why we keep telling you there's power in your name. It's power in your name. And then when you take on when you correct your name, like Petty Ray. Like Petty Ray actually was the name of one of the pharaohs, right? He was in the 17th dynasty. You know him as Ahmose. Ahmose, the pharaoh Ahmose. I'll show it to you guys so y'all can see it. Okay. Let me bring it up. Because you need to see it. Ahmose the first. And let's see. Did it shift? Can you see it? Did it come up? You see it? Oh, okay. Yeah, the connection's slow. Now, Petty Ray is right here. Now they have it in as from the Metanet. They didn't spell it all the way out, but this is the actual name. It's Petty, and let's see. And the last name is Ray. Now they translate as Ra. It's Ray. Actually, the actual translation is not Ra. It's actually Ray. Or Ray, we actually say, but that was his name, Petty Ray. Okay, and this is Ahmose. You can see his image right here, Ahmose. All right, and so that was the name was given to me. Now I corrected my name in their system, right? And now all my children have, I have 3 children, 2 sons and a daughter. All of them have, their names actually is corrected. Their names, they have African names. And all. So names are important because what that does is that forces everybody to call you by your African name. That forces them. That's important. And it lets people know you're identifying who and what you are. It's one of the things Africans have been talking about with us. Like, African Americans, when they go to Africa, is like, why you guys got Caucasian names? You're not Caucasian at all. It's so I can't stress that it's so important. Not to mention, when you have a European name, you call on the European spirit forces. They come to you. Okay. And unfortunately, so many of them are negative. You know, you call when people call your name, the living and the dead hears those tones. The living and the dead hears those tones. So that's extremely important, guys, to know that. Okay. So I want to make, I definitely want to make that clear. All right. Okay. Uh all right. So okay, hold on. Let me do this. My other computer is messing with me, guys. So give me a second. I'm gonna try to fix it. Wow, I lost my connection. We okay. All right, got it back. Okay. Yeah, I had a problem with my connection, guys, but I got it. I got it back. Now let's see. What do we got here? Let's see. Moon, etheric. Moon power is electric potential. Nothing else. Okay. Blah blah blah. Thank you. Let's see. Are there other teachers besides yourself who teach Wu-Sabat? Yeah, we got T Tiger asked a question on it. Yeah, there's tons of brothers and sisters all over the country that teach Wu-Sabat. I'm not the only one. You got people all over the world, actually, different people, students that are teaching. You got different brothers that are online, like myself, that teach, and then you have a lot of brothers. We have bookstores, and they teach out of the bookstores. They have question and answer classes. So I'm not the only one. I'm far from the only one. Okay, so that's important to know. Let's see. Question: Hotep has a book called Solar Biology versus Lunar Astrology, and he has birth names in there. Can you choose from his book according to solar body attributes? I can't answer that question because I haven't seen his books. I haven't read it, so I'm not familiar with his stuff. The main thing is having an African name that connects you to your African ancestors. Not no names that connect you to foreigners. That's the main thing. Okay, so that's extremely important. But I can't speak for what Hotep um, was had put out. Let's see. Start fasting just before sun. And that's it. Okay, let's see. Drink water mixed with honey. Okay, got it. Eat one meal every day at 3 p.m. Is that considered fasting? Okay, yeah, there's different types of fasting. But if you eat, fasting is the abstinence from food, right? So this is T Tiger. He says eat one meal every day at 3 p.m. Is that no? That's not fat. That's not fasting. That's just eating once a day. And so fasting is actually abstaining from food. Now you can drink water, but it's abstaining from food and drink for at least 24 hours. Be honest with you. Okay. So that's real fasting. No, no, fasting is fasting. One meal a day is one meal a day. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to teach that eat one meal a day, right? How to eat to live. But fasting is fasting. Fasting means you're abstaining from food, period. So that's important to know. Uh, let's see. And then where we at? I eat one meal a day, so my fast meal eats from da da da. Okay, I mean, say, and it's at 6 p.m. I hope that helps. Okay, let's see. Awesome. Hard for me to because I be hurting as in one meal a day. Oh, T Tiger. No, the reason why no, you're not yet that's your body telling you is trying to make you trying to force you to eat. Your body, listen, guys. Okay, the human being can go without food for 30 days with no problem. I repeat, the human being can go without food for 30 days. It's this that because we eat so much, we condition ourselves, to crave food. And so in order you gotta deal with the pain. When you start fasting, yeah, a lot of people they feel pain. You're gonna have to you gotta kind of deal with that pain because of the simple fact your body is craving food when it shouldn't because we conditioned it. So that, remember that the concept of pain and pleasure. If you are so focused on pleasure, you offset pain. And the longer you offset pain, that's what causes disease. That's why so many of our people are dying most of us are literally dying because of our diet. We're not supposed to be dying at 60, 70, or 80 years old, but we're dying literally because we embraced the European Caucasian diet, which is poison. Everything the Caucasian eats is poison. Like I said before, his food groups is 4 categories. It's either flesh, it's either processed food, right? Which is the candy, the chips, the sodas, or it's either dairy, cheese, butter, milk, right? Or it's starch, which is potatoes, rice, and pastas. That's his whole diet. And it's poison. it's poison. And we're going to do discussions just on their diet. But I mean, listen, I understand. We all are part of it. I eat it. We all eat it. We were raised on that diet, and that's basically what they have around. That's why we always recommend to listen to, our dietitians like Dr. Sabi, people who are teaching how, us how we should properly eat, to correct our diet because we have a poison diet. So, I mean, that's just what it is. When you fast and tend state of mind, question: have you ever heard of a Nuapian Sabian member that has joined a Christian church to teach right knowledge from within? No, I've never heard of that. Well, I kind of have met students who said they would do something like that. I don't, I'm not someone who would advocate that, but I've heard of it. So I can't say I haven't. But I don't necessarily advocate that, but it is what it is. I'm not going to talk against it. Okay. Let's see. You have understand the benefits of fasting. Got it. The star is rising in the following days, few days. It is the fasting days period. Okay. Got it. Thank you. Go according to and Netflix. You have free for this house and fashion. Okay, got it. All right, so guys, I'm going to get into the discussion today. So wow, we already did a lot of time, but it's okay. Let me get into the discussion. We're gonna be talking about a series of books, right? The master teacher wrote back in this one came out in 1971. Okay, it's called the 9-Ball series, and this is count 1, and there was 4 parts to it that was put out. So you have the 9-Ball count 1, and you have the 9-Ball. This is count 2, the 9-Ball count 2, and then you have, let's see, the 9-Ball count 3. And then we have the 9-Ball count 4. Now count 1, 2, and 3. That came out in 1971, and count 4, the last one, came out in 1972. So that's important to know. Now, when the book came out, it was basically, it was written under a pseudonym, right? Written by, if you notice, you see right here, Wu-Nupu, Asu-Nupu, and Naba-Nupu, okay? Along with Amanubi Ra'akta. And so these were pseudonyms. And at that time, people didn't know that this, Amenubi the Octa was the master teacher. Now, in 1971, which most of you guys probably wasn't born. In fact, I was just born in 1970. The master teacher was 26 years old when he put these series of books out. He was 26 years old. Okay, so also you got to put your mind in what was going on on the planet in 1970. That was the height of the Black Panther Party. Martin Luther King was assassinated. Malcolm X in the 60s was assassinated. So it was a lot of turmoil, and the COINTELPRO was in full force, right? And trying to disrupt Black organizations. Okay, so for those who saw the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, if you haven't seen it, it's good to see it because it gives you some concept of what was going on in that time period. Because that was the time they killed Fred Hampton. Okay, and so the master, put these series of books out under that pseudonym, didn't let people know it was him to the public, which is why it's in debate today whether or not he wrote these books. But anyone who studies the Nine Ball series, I'm going to prove to you he definitely wrote these books. Okay, you just have to read it and you can see who's the author. It's very easy and simple. But point being is that this was the beginning of us teaching Wu-Sabat, Wu-Nawab, okay, in the early 70s. And then in 1973, we switched the master teacher from teaching Wu-Nawab through the books, and then we set up the Ansar Allah community and identified ourselves as the Nubian Islamic Hebrews, okay? And that's a whole nother discussion of our origins. So that's important. But this book, the Nine Ball series goes into explaining the forces of nature, the 9 ether and 6 ether and ghost forces. And this was an introduction into this. And so what I'm trying to do is go through this book, give you commentary on a particular book so that you'll have better insight on what this information means to help you guys in your research and your study pattern and comprehending the doctrine. So it's extremely important. So because I want to help you guys, and when you're reading the book, there's certain key things you need to be looking for when you're studying our doctrine to help in your comprehension, because this has hindered us as an organization. Okay, so that's very very important. Okay, so let me keep going. Let me start. All right, so now I'm gonna read through this and then I'm gonna do commentary. So guys, just pay attention, follow along. All right, so this is booklet 1, and this is the introduction to 9. Okay, so the purpose of booklets known as the 9 Ball is liberation information for woolly-haired people called the Ethiopian race. We, scientists of the Ethiopian race, know that whatever Ethiopians do for successful liberation must be done intelligently, meaning the steps we take must be reasonable and practical. Okay, paragraph 2. All people with genuinely woolly hair by nature are in the Ethiopian race, and the Ethiopian race everywhere is one being. We are most concerned about not only because we are a part of the Ethiopian race, but also because we find our race in the lowest position of all the races. And this is because our race has the least correct information, which is another way of saying the least correct knowledge. Paragraph 3. We Ethiopian scientists know that a person or race physical position among others indicate his or its mental position among others. Therefore, since our race holds the lowest position of the races on orb Earth, this means that our mental position is lowest. And until our mental position rises, we as a race cannot rise our physical status. The elevator of our mental status is 9 knowledge, and The 9 knowledge needed at this time is liberation information. For Ethiopians are now in captivity mentally and physically to alien forces and adverse forces. Now, again, the master teacher wrote this, guys, 50 years ago. And our people wasn't what we were mentally captive and physically captive to foreign cultures 50 years ago, and we're still captive today. And the question is, why haven't we been liberated yet? And I'm going to explain what's the problem. Why I'm talking about us as students, because the master's been teaching us for over 50 years. Why haven't we been liberated? Because we should have, but we haven't. And that's a very important question to ask and answer. So let's keep going. Paragraph 4. This booklet called the 9 Ball will present the highest quality of reason and thereby the highest form of knowledge by nature available to woolly hair people on orb Earth at this time for liberation purposes. The highest quality of reasoning in existence is 9 reason, and the highest form of knowledge is 9 knowledge. The offspring of 9 reason, okay, 9 knowledge is the offspring of 9 reason, guys. Now, 9 in anything is the highest, for there is no digit higher than 9. 9 is the origin of the Ethiopian race, and 9 is the sons of the universes, including the sun of our solar system. The only way one can tap the living mind of nature is with 9 reason. Okay, so the only way you guys can tap into the forces of nature is using 9 reason. Let's keep going. Paragraph 5. Too much stress has been put on the physical by Ethiopian organizations and not nearly enough on the mental is why we have not progressed properly towards liberation. For real liberation is mental as well as physical separation from adverse forces. And the mental separation comes first. There is no such thing as a successful physical liberation without first having a mental liberation. When we achieve mental liberation, then physical liberation will come natural in the rate of the Ethiopians make effort in accord with 9 knowledge. That is liberation information. So again, guys, there is no way. This is why we are still captive, because of the simple fact we haven't elevated mentally, okay? Using our own spiritual science, using our own culture. But let's keep going. Paragraph 6. The Ethiopian race is confined in a prison of alien culture and buried in a grave of adverse ignorance. And this alone is enough to keep woolly haired people in captivity to enemy forces. So the booklets entitled The 9 Ball are designed to help destroy the mental grave and prison limitations on the minds of Ethiopians that we will liberate from those who would keep us captive. The mental process is the road to liberation, and that mental process may scientifically be called mental liberation, which is the purpose of these booklets. Okay, paragraph 7. We Ethiopian scientists do not accept all woolly hair. We Ethiopian scientists do not expect all woolly hair people to be receptive to 9 reason and 9 knowledge. It will take time for some to understand, and there are others who will neither understand nor care. But those among us who are intelligent by nature will understand, accept, and adhere. These are the ones we are searching for these are the survival and future of the Ethiopian race. No one can make another intelligent. A person must be born intelligent, and the intelligent among us are the only ones who can liberate self. No one can liberate a person. A person must liberate self by understanding and accepting and following liberation knowledge. Paragraph 8. Mental liberation knowledge informs us that before woolly haired people were called Negroes by Caucasians, we were called Ethiopians. And before we were known as Ethiopians by the Greeks, we were called Nubians by the ancients. The words Ethiopian and Nubian are the same in meaning. They both mean ether, the life-giving, light-giving, burning energies that the suns produce called prominence and sunshine. The Caucasian, the white man and woman, never taught black people that sunshine is ether, because if he had, some of us would have been able to reason out our origin many years ago. But one of Caucasian purposes is to keep Ethiopians ignorant so we can be used against ourselves for Caucasian benefit and well-being. Paragraph 9. Remember, when we say Ethiopian, we are not referring only to woolly-haired people born in the state of Africa known as Ethiopia, but woolly-haired people everywhere they are, namely all people in the Ethiopian race. The root of the word Ethiopian is the word ether, and it means our origin is the sun, because the sun is 9, and 9 ether sun produced the Ethiopian race, the Nubians. Okay, and we're missing paragraph 10, guys, so I'm sorry for that. But we're going to start at paragraph 11. The blackness that the Caucasian gets by basking in the sun is temporary. For as soon as he or she quits basking, that person starts getting paler. But it is different with the Ethiopian. Our blackness is inherent from the sun. That is, our being the sun's original offspring. He empowered us Ethiopians with the same powers that he has, the power to be black and produce black offspring. In other words, our skin is black because, like the sun, we Ethiopians have in our reproductive system and marrow of our bones what's called sun heat genes. And these sun heat genes become part of the blood and they emanate outward to the skin. And our sun heat genes burn the skin black. The more sun heat genes one has, the blacker that person will be. Therefore, being black is being superior in color because the suns of the universe are jet black and they are superior to all other universal bodies. Black is not only beautiful, but it's also the best and purest of the colors. Paragraph 12. The sun is male and Mother Earth is female. The sun gives off ether in a form of what is called permanence. The sun has antennas called granulation, and the Ethiopian's woolly hair looks like that granulation. So our woolly hair may correctly be called granulation using an English expression. If one puts a straight strand of hair closer and closer to a fire, that strand of hair will granulate. That is, boil up because of the potency of the heat. The Ethiopian carries his and her sun within, and we appear on planet Earth at a time when no other race could survive in the Earth's atmosphere, because just after creation, the atmosphere was too dense and too potent for the weakness of human beings called mankind. Mankind is all peoples with straight hair by nature. The Ethiopian became identified with mankind down through evolution. Now, guys, let me just show you the SMAT circle, what the master teacher means by that. Right? So evolution started at 6 West. If you see right here, this is the beginning of 6 West. So he's talking about the realm of NoopooH. The only people that would exist in the realm of NoopooH were the Sans tribe, or the Fahites, or the Tahites, we call them, right? Okay, mankind didn't come on the scene until 6 West. So just so you guys know that. So let me go back to where I was. All right. Paragraph 13. Moreover, sun heat genes in those who had to live in the Earth's original atmosphere had to be much stronger than those of mankind who came much later. In other words, the sun heat genes in the African pygmies were so dense and potent in their bone marrow and reproductive system, they turned the hair kinky, as fire does to a straight strand of hair. Hence, woolly hair is superior to straight hair, as the suns are superior to other universal bodies. Willie here by nature assures the Ethiopian that he and she are the originals on the planets, thereby the original personification of the sons. We bigger Ethiopians evolved from the smaller Ethiopians, now called the African Pygmies, or really the Sands tribe guys, who live in Equatorial Africa, or South Africa to be correct. Paragraph 14. We reiterate, the only people who could survive in the Earth's original dense and hot atmosphere just after the fiery creation were those who had sun heat genes within so strong that they would kink the hair, and those people were our ancestors, the African Pygmies. Black skin is sun skin, and woolly hair is sun hair. The sun is 9, and 9 is the ball, which may conveniently be drawn as the circle. In ancient times, the African pygmy was called Fa, or Ta, and worshipped as the personification of the original creator, right? So our ancestors worshiped Ta. And guys, look up the Memphite theology. Research that, and it talks about how our ancestors worshiped Ta. And that was the Tahites. And we taught that Ta was the creator. But let's keep going. Now, the Pygmies are from the sun, and we are from the Pygmies. And this means we bigger Ethiopians are the sun too. We are evolutionary Fa. Mother Earth gave birth to our ancestors, the African Pygmies, from the source of the Nile on the equator in Africa. The eggs of Mother Earth in the source of the Nile River was impregnated by 9 ether rays from Father's Sun, the nine power. Like the sun, woolly hair symbolizes potency, life, and originality. The Ethiopian is the only one of the races who grows his and her crown by nature. Woolly hair stands up like a crown, and this makes the Ethiopian the natural king and queen of the universes by nature. Now, guys, we don't use that term king and queen no more. So I just want to make that known. We don't use those terms. Okay. Queen actually means prostitute, to be honest with you. And king represents the moon god. But let's keep going. This is a brief introduction into 9. Ethiopian, and 9 is your own woolly hair self. Now, 9 reason, paragraph 15. Show us a person or a race who has lost his or its ability to reason soundly, and we will show you a person or a race in degradation as compared to the higher standards of nature. There are 7 senses: seeing, feeling, tasting, hearing, smelling, thinking, guys, and reasoning are senses. What divides the animal world from the world of Fa, the Ethiopian race, is the woolly hair person's capability to reason soundly when that person is in his or her right mind. That is, when the Ethiopian is in his or her own knowledge and own cycle. The highest form of reason is 9 reason. Paragraph 16. Mankind and all other animals can exercise the first 6 senses, but only Fa kind is capable of experiencing 9 reason, the 7th sense. Mankind has the capability to do heavy thinking, but 9 reasoning is above the level of mankind's mentality. And this is why mankind admires and worships all intelligent levels 7 and above. Mankind intelligence stops at 6 because the mentality of the animal world ranges from 0 to 6. Mankind is the head and king of the animal world. The animal world is the zodiac in flesh and blood. The word zodiac means existence and unity of animals. Paragraph 17. Thinking is the straight line mental process of the chemicals of brain matter, whereas reasoning is the circle mental process of the chemicals of brain matter. Now, guys, let me just explain that real quick. That's why the Caucasian teaches that in the beginning was the Big Bang, and then you go from Big Bang to where we are today. And he tried to teach you that civilization is progressing. So where we are today is he teaches that his civilization is the greatest civilization to ever exist on earth. That's straight line thinking, where he's trying to make you think that, you know, through evolution, people get smarter. And that's not true. Nature is based on cycles, and evolution is just one of the cycles. In fact, the evolutionary cycle, just so you guys know, is from 6 west to 3 south. That's considered the evolutionary cycle, and that lasts for 18 million years. Now we are in the revolutionary cycle, where we are now beginning to restore our power, and the Caucasian is at the epitome of his power and now on the decline. That's why you guys see China rising. Africa is beginning to rise. This is a process, okay? So let's keep going. And I'll answer all questions as soon as I'm done, guys, just so you know. Okay, so now, I did paragraph 17. Go back to it. Okay, let's see. All right, then we go to paragraph 7. I don't know if I did paragraph 17. I lost my place, but I'll do it again. Okay, paragraph 17. Thinking is straight line mental process of the chemicals of brain matter, whereas reasoning is the circle mental process of the chemicals of brain matter. Yeah, I didn't do this. I did the beginning. But let's keep going. Now, straight line mental process is mental exercise based on a higher percentage of negative brain matter than positive. And the circle mental process is mental exercise based on a higher percentage of positive brain matter than negative. Reasoning employs the natural ability to determine what is right and wrong, what is true or false by the nature of nature. Thinking is the exercise of brain matter in mental depth, and reasoning is the exercise of brain matter in mental life. When more negative brain matter is active than positive brain matter, the mind is mentally dead. And when the reverse exists, the mind is mentally alive. Okay. Now, this is why people, we can't outthink the Caucasian, because we don't know how to harness positive brain matter into our brains for better reasonability. There's a science in order to do that, to increase your reasonability. And we lost that knowledge. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Paragraph 18. Reasoning is thinking above animal level. Non-reason is the highest form of mental process. Non-reason is the mind of the original creator, the true stars, the suns. Non-reason is the elevator of Ethiopian minds. And non-knowledge, the knowledge that non-reason produces, is the liberator of Ethiopian minds, and vice versa. A person sees, hears, feels, tastes, and smell with his and her mind via the nervous system, which is the network and tentacles of the brain. When the Ethiopian race lost its ability to reason soundly by way of the evolutionary forces, servitude was inevitable. Leviathan, the zodiac, is the evolutionary forces. Paragraph 19. Ethiopians, our ability to reason soundly, called non-reason, has returned. And non-reason is the emancipator, because it determines for us what is right or wrong, true or false, and thereby provides the correct information necessary for our liberation guidance. Only those who can reason ninely and those who can understand and follow non-reasoning will survive World War III and be the future of the Ethiopian race, because only those who can reason ninely or follow non-reason are intelligent enough to do what is necessary for survival. Non-reason is the Ethiopian in his and her right mind. Non-knowledge, paragraph 20. Knowledge is knowing. Knowledge is scientific information. Non-knowledge is correct scientific information. By scientific information, we mean knowledge proven by non-reason, experience, or evidence, or any combination of these three factors. By scientific knowledge, we mean information proven and organized in such sequence as to put the mind in proper order. Nine knowledge is the best information attainable in the universes. Nine knowledge is the leader and liberator and elevator of the Ethiopian race. All woolly haired people who have the ability to understand nine knowledge and adhere to it. Paragraph 21. Nine knowledge is Ethiopian knowledge by nature, composed and disclosed by Ethiopians, that is, woolly haired people. One of the major enemies of the Ethiopian race is ignorance. The words Cain and Negro spell the word ignorance because Cain, which is short for Caucasian, the white man, produced ignorance and created the mental dependent called Negro. The enemy of an intelligent mind is ignorance. Therefore, nine knowledge provides the mental strength necessary to fight off this natural foe and help prepare a protective defense against it. Universal and natural knowledge to be known is nine knowledge, is the resurrector of the mental dead called Negroes. Paragraph 22. Nine knowledge deals in origins because origins are the beginnings of beings, and in beginnings are found the true nature of all beings. One does not really know a person, place, or thing until he knows the true nature of that person, that place, or thing. Knowing and disclosing the true nature of person, places, and things are nine knowledge. The Ethiopian's universal science. It is vital to Ethiopian survival and well-being that we know and identify ourselves, know and identify others, including our enemies, know and identify our surroundings and everything affecting our present and future. These booklets entitled The Nine Ball will provide us with this survival and liberation information. And guys, this is why we're literally subject to the Caucasian, because we don't take the time to study anything about his society, his origins, his economic system, his political system, and how to overcome it. We're totally dependent on him teaching us. And if he's educating us, you can never outthink him. That's not nine knowledge. Nine knowledge, you don't allow yourself to be subject, enslaved to someone else's educational system. What's the point in black people complaining about white people oppressing them? And you can never outthink them because they're the ones educating you. So you might as well accept, all of the abuse we get because of the simple fact that's just the way they rule. That's their nature, is to be oppressive. Unfortunately, let's keep going. Paragraph 23. Knowledge is correct information. Wisdom is knowing how, where, and when to use knowledge. Therefore, it is the correct use of knowledge. And understanding is the receiving of knowledge via the senses. And it is the unity of knowledge and wisdom. Hence, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding are our road to liberation. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding are the definition to the Ethiopian universal science, NoopooH. Just as nine reason is the Ethiopian in his and her right mind, nine knowledge is the Ethiopian in his and her right guidance, right? Because nine knowledge is the information we need to tell us what to do, how to do it, when to do it, why we should do it, and why we shouldn't do something. Okay? But in order to have nine knowledge, you guys have to have nine reason. Remember that. In order to have nine knowledge, you have to have nine reason. Remember that. We're going to get into that. Let's keep going. Paragraph 24. Never accept a speaker or writer's information until you know his or her definitions of the key words he or she uses. For then and only then do you know what he or she actually had in mind when the person spoke or wrote. Always demand clear definitions for all power and key words and phrases and any information on liberation or any other vital issue. For this is the only way there is ever a true meeting of the minds between the speaker and the listener, or the writer and the reader. And a true meeting of the minds is necessary to help you determine and conclude whether a speech or writing is right or wrong, true or false. Let these booklets be your guide on definitions. Okay. 9 liberation, paragraph 25. Of course, 9 liberation is Ethiopian liberation. The liberation of people with woolly hair. Liberation for a person, persons, or race is mental and physical separation from adverse forces. Freedom for a people or race is having the privilege and power to make its own laws. Hence, freedom can come only to those people who achieve liberation from captivity. The Ethiopian race is not only physically captive to mankind, but also captive to his cultures and inventions. And this means woolly haired people are mental captives to adverse forces as well as physical. Mental captivity is the worst kind of captivity because it means that the captive is mentally dependent on the captor. Mankind is all peoples with straight hair by nature. Paragraph 26. We Ethiopian scientists know that the mental person controls the physical person, meaning the mind of a person controls his or her activities. Therefore, if the mind is ignorant, the activities of that person will be the works of ignorance. On the other hand, if the mind is knowledgeable, the activities of the person who possesses it will be sensible. Unfortunately, however, we have in our race, as in all races, persons who are unintelligent by nature, and there is little or nothing can be done for these people, but let them destroy themselves together with the adverse forces. These are the people who refuse to give up Caucasian culture. They refuse to stop drinking. They refuse to stop taking drugs. They refuse to stop, stripping. They refuse. And no matter what you say to them, they won't listen. Those are the unintelligent. They love the white man. They want to look like the white man. They want to dress like. There's nothing you can do. No matter what you say to them, they just won't listen to you. Those are the unintelligent among us. And they're on a path to self-destruction. There's not much you can do. It's sad, but it's the reality. Let's keep going. I'll address those questions, guys, in a moment. Okay. Paragraph 27. The mentally dead Ethiopian is a slave to fun, folly, foolishness, and ignorance. He and she are slaves to excessive sex activities, meaning having more sex than is necessary for natural balance between the physical and the mental. Any Ethiopian who is a captive to religion is not in his and her right mind, because religion is a product of mankind for mankind's ultimate aims. Ethiopians are captives to strong drinks, narcotics, and all other vices forced upon us through ignorance and oppression. Woolly haired people are slaves to alien culture. That is, we wear other races' names, claim other races' religions, histories, and others' identities. We can never be liberated as long as we do this, because there is no such thing as a physical liberation before mental liberation. For mental captivity keeps us in physical thraldom. Paragraph 28. In the United States of America, Caucasian people, aka the ghost people called white people, are the number one alien and adverse force to Ethiopians. And second in line is the ignorance of all sorts, which they force upon Ethiopian. Third in line of adverse forces are those people of other races, and some in our own race. Who are dedicated to help maintain and perpetuate Caucasian culture and way of life in Ethiopian communities. If a person does not have genuine kingly hair by nature, he or she is not a member of the Ethiopian race. and is an alien plant and alien seed in our communities. The Caucasian uses adverse forces in our communities to lead or mislead us to deeper stagnation and suppression. These adverse forces show up as alien politicians, alien preachers, alien educators, etc. Those who are not Ethiopian in our communities are alien forces who are helping to destroy our race through miscegenation and our beautiful Ethiopian females, right? So you got the Arabs controlling the gas stations in our neighborhoods. You got the Chinese in their restaurants, and they got their beauty supply stores. They control that. You got the Hindus controlling the the motels and hotels and stuff like that. We don't control none of the businesses in our community. Nothing but foreigners control it. And we're wondering why our communities are in degradation. This is something Claude Anderson been trying to talk about also. For decades, he's been trying to explain to black people, you got to get control of your communities again. You don't have communities no more. You got nothing but neighborhoods with no communities. And we're wondering why we're suffering there, because we don't control anything. And the black people who have money don't have enough intelligence to realize that, hey, guys, we need to take economic control of our communities. This is something, guys, look up Akon. He's been trying to preach that, telling brothers and sisters with money to invest in Africa. In fact, Akon said he's made more money in the last few years investing in Africa than he made in his whole music career. And he said when he was talking to other people in the music industry, they don't want to listen to him. That's the unintelligent among us. But let's keep going. Paragraph 29. We cannot rule out poverty and disease as adverse forces. And these also are products of alien enemies and their polluted atmosphere. Neither Caucasian politics, Caucasian religion, nor alien education is the solution to our racial, social, and world problems. Our own culture and creativeness are the solution. And the intelligent among us will not allow those Ethiopians among us who are working knowingly and unknowingly for the preservation of mankind's civilization to tell us anything different. Ethiopian independence of thought and independence of actions are our way out of prison. The real solutions to our racial, social, and world problems and the road to creativeness and independence is 9 reason, 9 knowledge, wisdom, and understanding working together with our cycle and season by nature. Paragraph 30. If we need something, we must work and get it or create it. So long as we remain mentally dependent on other races to do our thinking and plan our progress, that is how long we will remain in the ghettos and slums and the poverty and diseases that they produce. And mental dependence presupposes physical dependence. Therefore, mentally dead Ethiopians say that we cannot make it without Caucasian guidance, not understanding or caring that Caucasian guidance is basically the leadership together with his helpers of other races that degrade us into the miserable status quo in which we find ourselves. Ethiopian goals must be self-control and community control and control of our own destiny. And this means controlling the businesses and all activities that go in our areas, including our children's education, which must be compiled, organized, and established by us Ethiopians in our own power and our own system. Our own Ethiopian culture will make us masters of our own destiny. And this is independence and freedom. Guys, right now, just go look it up. The 1619 project, right? By that sister, Hannah Nicole Jones, I forget. Now they're trying to get this. This is talking about Black people's contribution to America that's been omitted from the Caucasian curriculum, the educational system. And she's fighting to try to get it in the school systems, right? And white people are passing laws to ban that education. They're passing laws. There's certain states have been passing laws to ban teaching Black people culture, what we've done in America. This is why it's foolish to think that you're going to get liberation in their system. It's silly. It ain't going to happen. Build your own schools, teach your own thing. Because ask the question, why don't black people support? Why don't Oprah Winfrey just sign a $10 million check and give it to Umar? He's one of the few brothers that's trying to create a school system to educate black people. And we're not intelligent enough to understand that we must educate ourselves. Let's keep going. Paragraph 31. Africa is wherever we Africans are located in our right mind, just as it is misleading to urge woolly-haired people to think that Caucasian politics or religion is the solution to our problems. It is likewise misleading to urge then that moving from one place to another is the solution, because when people are misinformed that a boat is coming for them, this takes away their initiative and incentive to do something productive and constructive for themselves right now where they are. So they just wait and wait for nothing, pinning away in ignorance, idleness, and vague rhetoric. Paragraph 32. Our Ethiopian ancestors, the African pygmies, in their aerial form, 9 ether, grew the universe, and the universe is the suns, planets, and satellites, etc. So why should we, evolutionary Fahites, confine ourselves to one spot on this planet when our ancestors made it and we were in North America long before the Indians? However, it is reasonable and practical that as our own cultural resurrection progresses, many Ethiopian farmers, tradesmen, technicians, and all types of workmen necessary to help build the economic and military independence of our motherland Africa will repatriate to that continent in their right minds for that purpose. Okay, so we need black people who are intelligent to go back to the continent to help build. We need black people who are intelligent, who understands that we need to do for ourselves and stop asking foreigners for anything. Africa is nothing but indebted to the Europeans. Africans are indebted to the Chinese. You know that Africans have money in France and they got to ask France to borrow their own damn money. Look it up. It's insane. The foreigners still control the continent because our people are mentally captive to these foreigners still. But let's keep going. Paragraph 33. Since evolution is reversing, the Caucasian, the ghost man and woman, the white man and woman will start returning to the graves and caves from whence they came. And this means the atmosphere of the present cycle will continue to go stronger, making us wiser via 9 ether. Okay, that's how you harness 9 ether, guys, from the atmosphere. You harness 9 ether by drawing in the energies from the sun. And as you draw in 9 ether energy, that is what will restore your 9 ether mind. We're going to get into that, but let's keep going. Our Ethiopian forces in nature. So 9 ether is our Ethiopian forces in nature. Now, the foregoing means that Caucasian ruling power will decrease and Ethiopian ruling power will increase as we Ethiopians rise like the sun from the grave of ignorance called mental death. The Caucasian is too powerful to fight him with arms at this time. So our answer is fighting ignorance with knowledge and destroying idleness with productive, constructive activities. Ignorance and idleness are two very destructive forces which are very detrimental to our progress towards liberation. We Ethiopians cannot afford ignorance and idleness and achieve the independence of mind and body we need for survival and proper well-being. 9 ether, paragraph 34. 9 ether is the mental power and chemical forces that grew the universes. 9 ether is the combination of all existing gases and chemicals. 9 ether is the original forces of order. In the form and formula of 9 ether, our Ethiopian ancestors grew the universes and then personified themselves as African pygmies at the source of the Nile in Equatorial Africa. Nine ether began as a spontaneous fire in primordial chaos and grew bodies for itself called true stars or suns, one of which is the sun of our solar system. Ethiopians are the personification of the suns because our energies grew the suns, right? This is when our ancestors in ancient Egyptian culture, we told about the waters are new. The waters are new, and the waters are new. Atum Re'e, which is the sun, grew out of the waters are new. And the waters are new is that blackness, dark energy, and dark matter. And that blackness is consciousness, is mental, and that's the black forces that we are of. Our spirit force is that black force, and that's non-ether. Let's keep going. Paragraph 35. Non-ether produced the bodies of the suns, and in turn, the suns produced non-ether. The suns are self-created, meaning self-grown, and are also self-existent. Nine ether is black. Therefore, the bodies of the suns are black, jet black. Nine ether is the power of nine reason, and which produces the power of nine knowledge. There is no other power or force strong enough or wise enough to mentally and physically liberate the Ethiopian from his and her grave of ignorance and prison of serfdom but nine ether, the Ethiopian forces in nature. Nine ether is our powers in nature and by nature. Paragraph 36. When we Ethiopians lost our power to reason soundly, nine ether is what we lost. When we Ethiopians lost our spirit power, nine ether is what we lost. Nine ether is the scientific and spirit power of Ethiopians by nature, meaning nine ether is our true nature. The power nine ether helps us make Ethiopian history and restores Ethiopian culture. And this means mental liberation. And mental liberation in turn beget physical liberation. The solution to our problems must be one which will work for us worldwide because our racial problems are worldwide. The reasonable and practical worldwide solution is mental liberation, which produces Ethiopian creativeness, the ability to create everything we need, and Ethiopian independence, the ability to think independently and act independently of other races. Paragraph 37, the last paragraph, guys. All power begins in the mind, be it political, economic, military, or scientific, because the body is just a framework and tool for the mind. Therefore, the prime power is mind power, from which all other powers develop and mature, including the power of liberation. Here's the key. Nine ether develops nine reason. Nine reason develops nine knowledge. And nine knowledge develops the nine mind power, which is the prerequisite to Ethiopian mental and physical liberation. Let me read that again, guys. You must understand this last sentence is extremely powerful. It says nine ether develops nine reason. Nine reason develops nine knowledge. And nine knowledge develops nine mind power, which is the prerequisite to Ethiopian mental and physical liberation. What does that really mean? Nine ether is the forces of nature. It's in the atmosphere, guys. It's what the suns produce. The suns produce nine ether. It's the blackness of space itself. Okay? And so in order to get nine reason, you have to learn how to harness nine ether into your body. I repeat, in order to have nine reason, you have to learn how to harness nine ether into your body. Once you're able to harness nine ether, you have nine reason. Once you have nine reason, then you can develop nine knowledge. And you need nine knowledge to give you the solutions to the problems that we're dealing with. The reason why we haven't been able to figure things out in the last 50 years since the master has been teaching us, because we have not been harnessing nine ether, guys. I repeat, listen, let me do something. Let me show you something. Okay? Because people have been wondering, our organization's been teaching this knowledge for over 50 years. What's going on? Why are we still struggling? I'm going to tell you why we're still struggling. and what the issue is. The master teacher explains it very clearly. Okay, this is another book the master teacher wrote. It's called The Right Knowledge Scroll. Now, we put this book out back in 1994. This scroll came out in 1994. It's basically, this particular book is, how can I say? It's an update of the 9-ball I was just reading, because remember the 9-ball came out in 1971. So these right knowledge scrolls came out in the early 90s, and these are an update from the 9-ball knowledge. Okay, so this was an update. Now, remember, the reason why we can't harness 9 knowledge, here's the key. The reason why we can't harness 9 ether, because we're under the spell. What I've been talking to you guys about, the spell. Okay. Now, so here's the deal. And I'm gonna get to you guys' questions. I see y'all. But let me get through this first. This is very important. I'm on page 9 of this right knowledge scroll. Very important. Now, question. How was the spell of Leviathan introduced through religion? Because we talk about religion as a spell. Answer. Through religion, you were put under the spell. Through religion, you were put under the mold of 1, 2, 3. Person, places, place, and thing. Religion is a spell of sin. Remember, guys, I told you that sin is the moon god. That's moon culture. Used to keep you under control, which gave birth to the evil one or the devil. When people constantly are talking about the devil, this and the devil that, is what keeps him alive and going. Everything is done in threes. This is how the spell of sin was cast. For example, there are only 3 basic religious belief, which is monotheism, pantheism, and polytheism. The Trinity, the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, or God, the devil, and humanity. 3 predominant religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. 3 main scriptures: the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran. Religion is based around persons, places, and things by the virtue of the fact that the major religions are based on 1, the holy deity, 2, the holy places, and 3, the holy books. Even in everyday life, everything is based around this 1, 2, 3 principle. For example, you always want to meet new people, the rich and famous, go on vacation to places like Paris, the Bahamas, or any other place. You have always desires to visit and buy new things such as cars, clothes, jewelry, etc. You cannot think outside of these 3 things. Once you can think of or imagine outside of these 3 modes, the spell of Leviathan, Kingle, will be lifted. This is why, guys, we are confined to this planet mentally. And that's why we don't know how to make communication with our ancestors who exist on other dimensions, because every waking thought you have is constantly thinking about something on this planet. It locked you in. Our thoughts are constantly confined to some place on this earth, something on this earth, or some person. And we don't know how to think outside of that. Guys, the Caucasian, he's focusing on quantum mechanics. This guy's coming up with quantum computers because they're tapping into spirit forces. They're tapping into high sciences. And they're getting more and more advanced. What did Nas say? I always talk about this. Nas has this rap verse, right? Where he says, while brothers are playing PlayStation, the white man is building space stations. You see that? You hear that? That was a verse from Nas. While brothers are playing PlayStation, the white man is building space stations. You see how advanced they are on us? Because our minds are locked. There's no way you can get away from these adverse forces if you're mentally under them. We're mental slaves. But let me keep going. Now check this out. Let's see. Is the spell of Leviathan for eternity, or will it be lifted at the end of 6,000 years? Right? Answer. The elders are trying to liberate you by breaking the spell of Leviathan. If they can get 144,000 minds, if they prove themselves, you will be rescued, and you will be with God, which is Anu, who is also known as the Heavenly Father, and Elion El, which means the Most High El, or we say Ora A. These are higher dimensional beings. That's what he means by that, guys. So don't get confused by the terminology. But let's keep going. Who is on the planet ship or mothership Nibiru, which means planet of the crossing, or the planet that crosses the skies, as said in the Revelations chapter 21, verse 3. However, if this isn't successful, the ship Nibiru will pass by and you will be stuck here for another 24,000 years. And the devil, as you call him, is really going to run rampant. It is up to you to want to lift the spell of Leviathan. I can only write the scrolls with the formula necessary to break the spell. If you don't want to accept the facts, the truth, that you are under some kind of spell, then you will continue to wander for the rest of your life in untruths, lies, and sorrows. However, if by chance you are one of those people who want right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding because you are tired of the legends and the myths and want the facts beyond any doubt, then you must be ready to read with an open mind, because you will be reading the right translations in Ashoric, Arabic, Aramic, Hebrew, and the Greek by myself, Dr. Malachi K. York. But don't believe a word of what I teach. Go seek for yourself and check it out. Then after you find that all of what I teach is pure facts, then ask why. Why has this never been done or taught before? Why have this mistranslation? Why have they mistranslated all of the holy text? Your soul will speak to you and tell you that they wanted to misinform you, your whole family, and all the world. But fear no longer, for I, Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, have indeed come to you like a thief in the night. I sat back and listened to all the mortal teachers of the so-called Black organizations and realized that they don't really know what they're talking about. I call them the blind leading the blind. I'm here to clear up all of the lies and break the spell of Leviathan that has entrapped your divine potential, imprisoned your souls in ignorance. Ignorance means to ignore the facts, and left you so far behind in the race of economics due to lack of creativity, which resulted in the removal of man's barytheric gland, which was located in the hippocampus area of the brain, which is a cavity of the cerebrum, right? Guys, this is why we can't develop economic power, because we're literally slave to alien cultures and thinking ways of thought. There's no way you can outthink somebody in their culture. All right, the creator of the culture, right? The creator of the culture is the ruler of the culture, and the ruler of the culture is the beneficiary of the culture. I repeat, the creator of a culture is the ruler of that culture, and the ruler of the culture is the beneficiary. Why do you think white people got all the riches? Because this is their culture, and because it's their culture, they're the ones who make all the rules. And since they make all the rules, laws, and regulations, they're the ones benefiting from everything. So you got Bill Gates with all his billions. You got Jeff Bezos with all his billions. I mean, they got, it's insane. They control all the wealth and power because this is their stuff. And we're like rats trying to compete, and you can't compete, especially when they purposely miseducate you. It's silliness. The only way you can ever be on par with them is to have your own systems. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. Let me let's see. This is I want to get to. Okay, question. Can you free yourselves? Right? It is difficult trying to unite people physically without first uniting them mentally. If you can achieve mental unity, you are automatically united physically because a person talks and acts the way that he or she thinks. Hence, the results of ignorant thoughts are ignorant words and ignorant works. If the minds of this kind are enslaved, then that kind of mind is enslaved no matter where it may be. If the minds of this kind are free, the physical person or persons are free or will soon be free because the mind is the control and thereby determines the course the person or persons will take. When the mind is out of order, the person is out of order. When the minds of a nation are divided, the physical persons are divided. What is common sense? Common sense is common knowledge, meaning knowledge that all people will understand, accept, and unite their minds. This knowledge is called right knowledge. The first step in right knowledge is called NoopooH. There can be no mental unity as long as the spell of Leviathan or spiritual ignorance is upon you. NoopooH is right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding. NoopooH is sound right reason. NoopooH is the nine ether or the new being, effective spiritual science. Question: when the spell is broken, what will become of you? When the destruction of the spell is complete, you will have a free and united mind. A free mind means free mental activity. You will be in charge and in control of all of your faculties and destinies as in the time past. If you take control of your destiny, you will regain your manhood and your womanhood, which was stripped from you through subliminal seduction and the mass media. Teach your children yourselves and about your greatness. This and only this will reestablish your responsibilities as the chosen people of this planet Earth. When you believe in yourself and kind, not mankind or a kind of man, for the divine is a torch that burns inside of you, ignited by right knowledge. Question: how can right knowledge liberate you? Now, here's the key, guys. Right knowledge is controlled by the forces of nature residing on a plane of force. That's the key. Now, right knowledge, this is the key, guys. Right knowledge is controlled by the forces of nature residing on a plane of force. Now, let's go back to what I was reading in the 9 ball. When you go back to the last paragraph, the last sentence, 9 ether develops the 9 reason, right? So I said, in order to have 9 reason, you have to harness 9 ether. Okay. Once you harness 9 ether, then you get 9 reason. Now, once you have 9 reason, develops 9 knowledge. So you get 9 knowledge by having 9 reason. Okay. And you get 9 reason by harnessing 9 ether. Now, once you have 9 knowledge, that is knowledge on how to liberate yourself. Now, but here's the thing. How do you get 9 ether? I just read it. Right knowledge is controlled by the forces of nature residing on the plane of force. What is the plane of force? That's the next spiritual realm up. Well, how do you tap into it? Only through the rituals, guys. This is the same. This is the one reason why so many students in our organization, they come and they leave. They come and they leave. Or we as an organization haven't developed our powers yet, or have become liberated yet, because we haven't yet to learn as a group to harness these spirit forces, to harness 9 reason energy. We don't do the rituals. We're not doing these things. We're not doing the things necessary to develop ourselves. This is the problem. This is the problem. This is why a lot of individuals are having a hard time comprehending the doctrine, because you get 9 reason from 9 ether. I repeat, you get 9 reason from 9 ether, and you can't develop that level of reasonability if you're not harnessing these energies. That's why I keep telling you. That's why the Caucasian makes sure we stay indoors, away from the sun, because the sun is emanating these ethers, these energies. That's why we used to have an outdoor culture. Or he distracts us with jobs and making money and entertainment and everything else, and we don't focus on developing ourselves, and it keeps us in subjugation. This is the problem. This is the problem. Whew. Okay. So I hope that helps. I hope that helps, guys. I always tell you guys to watch these lessons or listen to these lectures over and over. This is very important. The main point I'm trying to get across to you: if you don't do the rituals, if you don't learn how to develop, your spiritual abilities again, your spiritual knowledge, then, because understand you, how can I say, the Caucasian and other races are beating us because they're outthinking us. The Caucasian and other races are beating us because they're outthinking us. This is why Africa keep asking everybody that for help, because they keep getting that, like Haiti. Haiti, they kill their own president, right? And they asking the United States for help. So the United States sends the FBI in there to help them investigate. I'm like, look at that. We need a foreign nation to come in there and help us investigate crimes in our own country. Imagine a United States calling Panama to help them investigate, somebody robbing somebody on the street. I mean, who does that? Who calls a foreign nation, calls a foreign nation's police force to come in there and help them? It's ridiculous. Totally outrageous. And why are we doing that? Because we lost our nine mind. We lost our ability to reason soundly. That's why we can't solve problems. It's crazy. We can't solve. Why do you think we keep calling the police? We keep calling a white man in our communities when we do things to each other. If you can't be responsible and solve your own problems, and you keep calling a foreigner to come into your life, you'll never have any kind of power. We don't even know how to police ourselves. It's crazy. At least the mob, they used to do that. The mob, they would control their neighborhoods. That's why nobody would snitch, because you just report any incident in the community to the mob. They'll take care of it. They ain't calling the police. But we're quick to call the white man into our communities, and then got the nerve to complain when he shoots y'all, when he shoots your children. That doesn't make any sense. But again, we lost our ability to reason soundly. So we keep making irrational decisions that don't make no sense. All right. I'll try to get to some questions. If you guys have any questions, anyone had any questions about that? Okay. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna try to answer some of the questions. Queen. Do Kingo, King is from the cuneiform Kingo. That's right. Tiger, when? Okay, T Tiger asks, when did Queen represent a prostitute, and what do a king represent? Okay, good question. Queen, it's in the Bible. T Tiger is in the Bible. It's in the book of Revelations. It's called the harlot, the queen. It's in Revelations chapter. It might be chapter 18, I believe. And it talks about the queen. Now, they just spell it differently. Like, so you can, if you go on Wikipedia, right? And let's queen is Queen. Let's see. Queen. Ming. Spell that right. Let me see if that comes up. Queen, queen, queen. Okay, let's see. Queen. See this? This is Webster, Merriam-Webster's encyclopedia, guys. Queen, 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 queen. Definition of queen. Uh disreputable woman is specifically a prostitute. Okay, remember the English language is based on synonyms, homonyms, and what? Antonyms. Synonyms, words that sound the same but have different meanings, right? So when you look in it, it talks about in the book of Revelations, the harlot, the queen. It talks about the queen, the harlot, and that's what the word queen. That's the origin of it, and it means prostitute. And we, first of all, guys, remember, we as Africans, we speak English, so we didn't call ourselves these insane things. Okay, we speak English. So queen means prostitute, and king is the name of the moon god. I showed you that. Kingu, right? King Gu, moon god. Just type that in Wikipedia. Kingu. Here it is. Kingu. Spell meaning unskilled laborer, was a god in Babylonian mythology. After the murder of his father Apsu, the goddess and Tiamat, mother, blah blah blah. But the Kingu. He was basically a Babylonian or Sumerian moon god. No, I didn't spell it wrong. That's how they spell it. And all that. Remember, synonyms, words that sound the same but have different meanings. They all have different spellings, like here, and here. It is. That's what it means, guys. But so that's what that whole kingdom thing is about. Any other questions? To overcome Leviathan, okay, Allison, to overcome Leviathan, you must understand their natural nature of Leviathan. Is that what you mean? Okay, this is for Allison. Yes. In order to overcome a thing, you have to know the nature of a thing. Guys, listen to that. In order to overcome a thing, you have to know the nature of a thing. Why do you think black people keep supporting white people, wanting to marry white and wanting to work for white people, wanting to vote for white people, want white people to rule them? Because they don't understand their nature. And that's because we lost our spiritual knowledge. Now, once you reopen your third eye, you'll be able to see spirit forces again. You actually be able to see the energies in them. We can't see it, so we're spiritually ignorant and mentally dead, so we don't understand their nature. Because remember, Leviathan is based on what? Deception. They rule by deception, guys. Leviathan rules by trickery and deception, trick knowledge. That's how the Caucasian conquered us. They conquered us through using deception and trickery. They're the kings and queens of that. Deception and trickery and all. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad used to teach that. He used to ask the question, why does the black woman love the white man? The answer was because it gives you nothing. It's insane at all. But the reason why we keep serving them, because we don't understand their nature. Okay. In order to be able to relate to a person, place, or thing, you have to understand the nature of that person, that place, or that thing. That's how you know how to make a good decision from a bad decision, to deal with something or not deal with something. You have to understand its nature. If you don't understand its nature, then you're going to keep making irrational decisions. And that's why we keep failing, because we don't study the nature of nothing. We just, again, it comes from religion. Religion taught us to make decisions based on what? Beliefs. That's what religion does. And that whole court system is based on that. The whole system is making decisions on beliefs. And that's not sound reasoning, right? So we're going to say T Tiger. He says, do Kingo have a bad stigma attached to it, or is it this another belittle a woman because these women locking up these male, what's that? What is he saying? I'm not sure what you're saying, T Tiger. He says, do Kingo have it bad? You got to scroll up. These women locking up the what? Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. Listen, guys, the whole molestation issue, as you guys should know, started with the Caucasian during slavery, right? All he was doing was molesting our women, you know, and this behavior was taught to black men. This is why you see it in our communities, right? It's not an African thing, you know. Point being is that we're not going to solve none of the problems, the drug problems we have, the crime that we're committing against each other by turning to the one person who taught us to behave like that. Like I keep saying, we keep calling the cops the same people who taught us to behave like this. They're not the solution. We have to take responsibility for our own communities. That's what I'm trying to say. We have to take responsibility for our own communities. We're not saying for people to get away with lawlessness, you know, but I'm saying the Caucasian system is not based on justice, it's based on injustice. You got to understand that. Not to mention, you don't lock people in cages. That's not how you deal with the issue. Africa didn't have a prison system, guys. Don't you know that? Because we didn't have rampant crime. Crime comes from poverty. Poverty comes from capitalism. Because capitalism is about competition, how to take advantage of other people. The whole corporate system is based on slavery. You know, don't you understand that the corporation, that the workplace is based on, it's a model, that's where slavery comes, it's the same model of slavery. That's why you don't have no power at a job. It's a complete dictatorship. And this country act like they don't like dictators, but the whole corporate system is a dictatorship. That's why if you don't do what the corporation says, they fire you. And it's like, well, wait a minute. You need money for food, clothing, and shelter. So they force you to comply to their system. And if you don't comply, they say, okay, fine, you're fired. But it's like, well, wait a minute. I need the money to pay for my rent and to buy food, buy clothing. That's the slave-based system. They force you to comply to them. Listen, if we had any sense, we would have been figured out a way to get ourselves out of that system. And so when people don't have a job, that means they don't have any money and they're in poverty. That's what creates crime. Because you got so many brothers and or sisters say, I don't want to work for the white man. I don't want to be listening to them. I don't like them controlling my time. They're controlling this. They're controlling every aspect of my life, or they don't work up to the standards of the Caucasian. So the Caucasian find them. And this is what creates our people robbing and stealing, or creates depression, which creates, the abuse problems we have, the alcohol problems we have, the drug problems we have, because people are depressed. And then we take it out on each other, and then we call the same person, the white man, who created problems. And he's making money off of us through the prison system. The prison system is nothing but a business, and we keep feeding it. Don't you see? We lost our ability to reason. We can't even figure that out. That means you lost your ability to reason. You can't figure out none of the tricks and the traps he put us in. And I'm telling you, because we're not harnessing non-ether energy to enhance your ability to reason soundly. If you don't do the rituals and you don't develop yourself spiritually, you won't be able to harness non-ether energies into you. And if you don't harness non-ether energies, you can't develop the nine mind. And if you don't have the nine mind, you can't come up with nine knowledge, because it takes nine knowledge to come up with the solutions. And that's why we're in our situation today. The master can't force you to do anything. All the master teacher can do is give you the information. But if you don't apply it, It won't have any value. And this is what's going on. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions? No need to feel bad. Knowledge frees the mind from ignorance. That's all. Be happy. Okay, who asked that question? Hold on. Nanya, question. Let me ask Nanya L. Question: does the subconscious mind link with the universal mind, and can it materialize things, energies, substances? Yes, the subconscious mind is links to the oversoul, which is the superconscious, which is in tune with the forces of nine ether, guys. Like when you get inspirations, that's coming from your oversoul. You know, that's why some people say, you know, your first thought is the right thought to go with. Okay, that's an impression from the oversoul. We just don't, we forgot how to harness that to be in constant in tune with that higher force, because you're not doing the rituals, you're not doing the necessary things so that the communication is clear and you can tap in. You know, there's data, there's knowledge being sent from the sun itself. And we don't know how to harness it because our mind stays in a state of ignorance and negativity. Guys, negativity, anger, and frustration blocks nine ether. I repeat, negativity, anger, and frustration blocks nine ether. It blocks those spirit forces and energies. Okay? And that's one of the biggest reasons why people can't develop the nine mind, because they're constantly negative. Always slandering, always gossiping, always, you know, we're addicted to lust, right? All of these energies and desires, it blocks nine ether energies. That's why people don't know. That's why we haven't been able to correct the way we think. We're slave to fun and folly, as they say. Let's go. Holding on to religion and other people. Let's see. The power of the mind is so powerful. The mind can tell you the benefits. I say, got it. Agree. Knowledge. The secret. Blah blah blah. Hampshire. All Leviathan. Lovers are a hot mess. Okay. All right. As an attack, we need the 144,000 awakened. Yeah. Hatshepsut Ma'at Ray, we need the 144,000 awakened. You are the 144,000. It's just you got it. You know, you have to harness those non-ether forces. Then you can make contact with your oversoul. You can make contact with the Nathar. That's why you guys think the master teacher gave you the names of the Riskians to call on them, right? I showed that before. The Riskians, right? He gave you the names to call on them. You can chant and call on them and tie and make actual contact with these beings. You can materialize them. They'll come to hear you. So you have, you could chant Yanun Razun. This is Razun. Zadun. This is Zadun, the one in the middle. And Zakun. This is the one, the last one. So you go Yanun Razun Zanun Zakun. And you visualize them, right? While you're chanting, you visualize them. You visualize them incarnating for you. Okay. And as you're chanting, it actually is beginning to, it stimulates the cells in your body. And this is how you begin to make contact with them, by visualizing them, staying in the positive mind and chanting that. Yanun Razun Zanun Zakun right? This is part of the rituals, guys. So keep that in mind. Let's see. If we call T Tiger, I'm curious. He says, if we call upon our ancestors, how do we know they didn't reincarnate back to Earth already? Or do they still hear us regardless? No, the ancestors, T Tiger, the ancestors that you're calling on your ancestors who resurrected. Some of them you may know, some of them you may not know, but they know you. And they're monitoring you, and they're waiting for you to make contact with them. And when you calibrate, to the key is to calibrate your morphic resonance, guys. You have to recalibrate your morphic resonance to your original tone, and then you'll be able to connect with them. You'll hear them because they're constantly trying to communicate. And if you start calling on the names of how can I say, when we call on, just say you want to speak to your ancestors. In our language, ancestor means salafu, right? Salafu. And so you say you want to speak to the ones who have resurrected. You want to communicate with the ones who are on the higher dimensions for guidance. You want to see the ones who are on the higher dimensions for clarity. You want to be able to get assistance from those who are in the power of love, who have connected with the forces of nature, who are obligated to assist you. That's what you start saying to yourself. You want to contact the positive ones, the loving ones, the ones who want to assist and guide you. And you put yourself in a meditative state thinking like that. Okay? You put yourself in a meditative state and thinking like that. And you can put pictures up of ancestors you do know, right? There's a process. We'll get into that in other times, but it's a process. But you guys can do it. Just got to do it. You just got to do it. You have that ability. You just got to do it. Okay. Let's see. Right. One has a different meaning than the other. So what the intent of which use queen? Okay. You asked about the word queen again. Remember, the English language is based on synonyms. It doesn't matter. It's the sound, guys. If a word sounds the same, it is the same, guys. If a word sounds the same, it is the same. If a word sounds the same, is the same. See, that's the trick of the English language, based on homonyms, synonyms, and antonyms. If it sounds the same, it is the same. Don't let them fool you. That's why they do that. I was telling you about the trick in their language, like the word recreation. Recreation. Listen what you're saying. Recreation. Or the word hello. You answer the phone, hello. Hell is low. The tone, it's about the tones. Everything in nature is about tones. And they got the nerve to tell you, oh, this word means this. But then they'll spell it different and use the same tone, guys. That's the trick. Yeah. You reading the origin of it? Yeah, you read the origin? Yeah, they just read the origin of the word. You'll find out that the spelling I gave you, that was the original spelling of the word, and then they changed it to that Queen. Again, for deception reasons, guys. Remember, if you don't know the nature of a person, place, or thing, you will be deceived by that person, place, or thing. Let's see. Naniel, question. So is it a good practice to be in darkness and listen to the Om chant tone? That's exactly what you guys are supposed to do. You have to learn to go back into darkness, guys. That's where our forces are. Why do you think the white man is constantly trying to make people afraid of the dark? Because he tossed out the Prince of Darkness and evil's in the dark, and Freddy Krueger is gonna get you in the dark. I mean, think about it. Think about how they put us in fear traveling at night. You hear a strange sound. You think somebody is gonna break into your house or something like that. They keep us in perpetual fear of the dark, because that's where our forces are. Our spirit forces is in the blackness, in night. Remember, in their own Bible, what does it say? It says, God said, let there be light. So even their own God exists in darkness. That's something the master kept trying to drill in our head. We got to tap. You tap when you guys remember, when you go to sleep, you gotta close your eyes in darkness. That's how you get rest and peace. It's in darkness is the peace. That's how you tap into a shot, into the darkness, into tranquility. A shot, I told you, non-ether is the forces of a shot, which is divine love. And you tap into it by going into a meditative state, into darkness. And yes, you play the Om tape, you play the Om chant, and you blank your mind. That's key. All right, let's see. I guess Trump didn't do what he was allegedly sexually to. T Tiger says, I guess Trump didn't do what. Okay, let me explain this to you, T Tiger. I keep telling you, religion taught people to make decisions based on belief systems. Okay, so you cannot, like the Bill Cosby case. Okay, if somebody accuses you of something, accuses anybody, like the women accusing Bill Cosby, an accusation is just that. So you say, okay, somebody did this, okay, and then the person that's being accused, they say, no, I didn't. They say, yes, you did. And he says, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. And they say, no, I didn't. So what is that? That's 50-50. You can't now say that person who's accused, aka let's say Bill Cosby, is guilty because of an accusation. Because then you'll believe one person over the other. That is not how law works. I know that's how the Caucasian system works. That is not how law works. If somebody makes an accusation and say this person did this, and the other person said, I didn't do that. Like Bill Cosby said, I didn't do that. Right? He says, Bill Cosby says, I gave those women drugs, right, with the intent to have sex, but the women wanted the drugs. They wanted the drugs, and they knew what they knew what the whole arrangement was. He was saying, I didn't take advantage of none of them. That's what they wanted to do. And that's what Judge Joe Brown was trying to explain to that bozo guy, the Mark, whatever his name, Mark Lamont, whatever, right? And so it's like saying, and the judge brought this up, if for those of you guys who watched it, you can't drink and then get in the car and drive, kill somebody because you were drunk, and then claim innocence and say, well, I wouldn't have did it if I wasn't drunk. You're responsible for your decisions. So that's one. So that's what Bill Cosby said. The women said, no, I didn't agree. He said, yes, you did. And they said, no, I didn't agree. Listen, you cannot sit there and say that she's right and he's wrong, because she has to have evidence to prove that she's right. That's the whole point. That's what due process is all about. You have to prove somebody did what you said they did. You just don't believe any people make claims all the time. That's the problem. Claim is just that. It's a claim. It's not a fact. You can't judge because, well, I just have a feeling it sounds like he's guilty. It doesn't work like that, guys. That's why the world is in chaos. You know how many people are dead because of it? You know how many women was charged with being witches and burnt just because of an accusation? So many of our people are dead because of it. Don't you know that's how they killed Emmett Till? White girl said, oh, he was looking at me or whatever. He did this to me. And they murdered him for that on an accusation. That's how the so-called Black Wall Street was destroyed, because some white woman said that this brother attacked her in an elevator. And they killed our people on an accusation. You cannot make decisions like that. You have to have facts. You have to have facts. And yes, there are situations that are unfortunate situations where something really did happen, but the person can't prove it. And that's because, and that only is happening, guys, because of the type of culture we live. This system invites that kind of stuff. That's why they created cities and they created apartments so people can be private and hide their devilishment. We didn't have systems set up like this. Everyone knew everyone. Now we live in areas where you don't know your neighbor. You don't know anybody. This is what I'm trying to explain. His whole system is corrupt and it breeds corruption, literally. So you don't know if somebody did something or not. So in order to have you can't just accuse or you can't convict somebody on beliefs. Guys, I did a whole lecture on that. Claims are not facts. Watch that discussion. It's very important. Very important. You have to have facts. You have to have evidence. Not a belief. Oh, she looked guilty. Oh, he sounds guilty. You know, that's how they convicted Cosby, you know. Go research the jurors. The jurors talks about it because the jurors said they interviewed one of the jurors in the Cosby case, right? When they convicted him, and they was like, well, they really had the evidence, but I just felt he should have been guilty. And this man they convicted him on that. Just on beliefs. They didn't have any evidence, no facts. This is the insanity of the system we live in, guys. Wake up. Question. Let's see. I guess Trump. Okay. Master teaching all, no disrespect, cause I don't think those sisters got anything by lying on him. Okay, it doesn't work. T Tiger, it doesn't. It doesn't even matter whether you think they're lying or not. What I'm trying to teach you guys is you can't make a decision based on belief systems. That's why we're suffering as a people. That's why the world is in chaos, because everybody keep making decisions based on beliefs. This is the problem. You have to research the facts, all the facts. First of all, this is the corruption of the system. Okay, they accuse somebody of something and they make it public. That's called slander. You don't sit there and accuse somebody in public of doing something, right? And that person is not there to defend themselves 9 times out of 10. You don't actually have any real evidence to prove that they did anything that they did. So, for instance, the way a system of justice is supposed to work, let's say someone's a victim, right? There's supposed to be a council of elders that individual goes to. This is how it's supposed to work. That person, whoever's the victim, they go to the council of elders. It is a private matter. It never goes public until the elders decide. The elders have to decide, okay, we need some type, they're going to have to first, they're going to bring in the accused, right? And then they're going to have the accuser tell their side of the story. And then they're going to have the accused tell their side of the story. And then decide whether or not there needs to be a trial on the actual matter. Okay. And once the elders decide whether or not there needs to actually be a trial, then you can have the public come in to look at the case as a whole. But before you go public, okay, before it becomes public, because people prejudge. That's the problem in the system. They prejudge. That's how Cosby even got prosecuted. It was because of public pressure. And Public kept saying, get him, based on the female's claims. The public didn't know all the facts, guys. I saw go tell you, go research the facts on Cosby case. Dr. Boyce Watkins, I told you, he interviewed the publicist for Bill Cosby, and that brother gives you real detailed facts that the general media doesn't tell you. Remember, and guys, don't you understand how the media is deceptive and trick y'all with false information, misleading information, half information? You don't get all the facts in the media. Okay, all right. I know I overstated my time, big time. Hopefully, we'll finish these discussions at a later time, but I just hope, guys, you take your time and studying the information, and we'll get there, and we're all in this together to reach our goal. And our goal, remember, our goal is liberation. Okay, our goal is liberation from adverse forces. This is our goal. All right, so we're gonna close out. We do our prayer, and I will and guys, I will definitely we'll pick up next week. We got part 2 that we're gonna pick up in this discussion. Right, we dealt with 9 ether, and next week we're gonna deal with 6 ether. And so we're gonna read part 2 of the 9 ball and talk about that information and go from there. Okay, until then, we'll see you then. So I'm gonna end with the prayer system. Okay. Abdul Kalal Namasat Wabazun Namad Kasam and a fa pa paut. Anuki Jawaf pa ashuk pa paut. Wu Kala ashuk woon Jawaf Naya. Anuki Kasaman pa paut. Wu pa paut woon Kasaman Naya. Anuki Wahu Ama pa paut. Wu pa paut woon Wahu Ama Naya. Naku Kodor Naju Ama Kasaman pa paut. Wu Khabu Ama Shikasun. Nakuk Kador Kawan Kalab Pafaf Nakuk Daya Jawab Papa Ot. Ama Wasu Ama Dayani Kawun Lake Bakui Jawab Papa Ot. Anuki Yababi Nafasni. Papa Ot Kawun Anuki. Papa Ot Kador Nakuk Kador. Papa Ot Amul Nakuk Amul. Lahahum Manahnun. Layahum Manahnun. Ahumata Kurahum. Ahumata Kurakum. Ahumata Koranun, Ahumata Jawaf Naya, Ahumata Naya Wu Anuki Hum, Ye Ashuk Re, Asmua Jaye Nun, Ye Nataru Afuknun, Anunata Khara Ukum, Ye Nataru Afuknun, Afuknun, Ye Nataru Nun, Nun, Tun. Atun Amun Jennifer. All right, Wadu Yasar. Until next week, I wish you guys peace, and I send out love to all. Okay, be safe, guys. Definitely be safe. Wadu.